In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a visual automation inside Kit. Now, two of the most powerful features of any email marketing platform is email sequences and email automation. They can transform your email marketing system from something that's a manual effort to something that's automated and works 24/7, no matter what you're doing. So let's dive into look at Kit and let's create a visual automation. Okay, so I'm in a demo account here, and under the menu option Automate, you're going to see one called Visual Automation. So I'm going to click on that. And then when you're in here, you'll see a list of all the automations you have. If you're not yet started building automations, then your list will obviously be empty. And you'll have this button here that says New Automation. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll bring up this list of templates for automations. So if you've got something that you want to create that is similar to what's in here, these are great for starting points. However, for this demonstration, I'm going to show you starting from scratch how to set up a visual automation. So I'm going to click here, Start from Scratch. It'll load up the automation, the visual automation template. The first thing I do is rename from the standard name given by Kit to something more meaningful. So I'm going to call this, let's say it's a freebie I'm giving away, and it is Email Marketers Starter Guide, which is one of the things that I give away on my website. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create an entry point for subscribers who are going to join this automation. They need a way in to this automation. Okay. On a standard visual automation in Kit, you can have up to 5 entry points along the top. When you're thinking of visual automations in Kit, think of them that the subscriber joins at the top, as we're looking at the screen now. They join the automation at the top and they work their way down to the bottom of the automation until they exit it. So it's a top to bottom flow for each subscriber. So I'm going to say that these subscribers are going to join by submit their details via an opt-in form. So I'm going to click on Joins a Form, and then Kit will ask me, well, which form do you want me to look out for? And this is just a demo site, so it's a whole bunch of sort of random stuff that's in here, but let's say I am going to call it, I'm going to take that one. So that's the form I'm saying that the subscriber is going to join the automation via. Now, just to show you what a form looks like, let me take you to my website. So if someone comes to my website and they want some free help, there's a number of ways they can get some free help in here. I've got tutorials and articles, and I've got some downloadables here as well. So let's look at this one, for example. I click on that, it takes me to a page where people can download this starter guide. And then this form here that you can see, so it's got first name, email address, and then a button to submit their details. Those 3 elements are what makes up the opt-in form if it's embedded on a web page, which is what this one is. So imagine that's what that is. This is this form. They've submitted their details and they're entering via that route. So the next thing we do is again, working down the way, we're going to add in other things into this automation. So by clicking this little plus button here, I've got the option of adding in other things to the automation. Let me just walk through them in order in which they appear. So starting at the top left, events. So I could say if a tag is added, then do a certain thing. If a tag is removed, if a product is purchased, if a date occurs, or if a custom field value changes. Now what this means is that if any of these events occur, then what the automation does is it brings all the subscribers in the automation, regardless of where they are at that time, down to this event place in the automation. So it can be quite good for bringing people down at a certain point. So a good example would be, let's say you were running a training program or a webinar or something, and it started on a particular date. then people would be potentially joining that automation at different dates. And then at some point in the future, let's say a couple of days before the event actually starts, you want to bring everybody down and then start to interact and engage with them with perhaps a sequence of emails that everybody gets. Okay, so that's an example of why you would bring people down to a certain point. I guess another example would be if you're running a sales sequence to ask people to buy something and they buy it, then the purchase of that product could be a trigger to bring them down in the automation so that they no longer, receive anything further. It's in that automation. Middle one, action, which is the one most commonly used. We've got 6 actions that we can apply in here depending on the conditions. So the first one and the most commonly used one is the email sequence. So we can click email sequence. We can tell Kit to deliver a particular email sequence to the subscribers. So I'll click add action and it adds that step in. So now everybody who comes in via this automation will be given that series of emails. Okay. Come back to the examples. Add or remove a tag. So I could decide to add a tag if I wanted to. So let's say, so I'll just pick something at random. Let's say they are interested in LinkedIn. I'll add action, and then that tag is then added to that subscriber's profile. So you can see we're tagging them as we go down depending on circumstances. Another option, and again I'm just adding these options on, is a delay. So we could bring them down and we could say for a number of days, let's say for 10 days, bring them in, and then when they reach this point in the automation, don't do anything else with them, just let them sit there for 10 days because there might be something else going on with the flow of emails. Next one is to set a custom field. So if you're not familiar with custom fields are essentially data elements that we can capture for each subscriber, and we can capture information in that data field so that we can then reuse it in future email content. So we could set a custom field value to, it could be anything. Let's say it's business stage. What stage is your business at? And because they come in via a certain route, we could say the startup, let's say. And at that point, that value would be associated with that subscriber. Okay. And then the second to last one here is move subscribers. So what we can do and this it potentially can get quite complex in your logic here, but you could at some point, depending on what a subscriber does, take them from being in one automation and move them into a different one. So there's a number of different things you could do there. So I could say start them in another automation, and then I would select another automation from the list. Let's say it was a re-engagement automation. The last one, which is grayed out here, we could say unsubscribe. You can only add that at it tells you there on the pop-up. You can only add this at the end of an event or a condition branch. So depending on certain circumstances, you could automatically unsubscribe subscribers too. And I'll show you an example in a moment of why you may want to do that. So that's actions. The next thing is conditions. So inside conditions, we've got 4 options that we can use in here. So the first one is tags. So we can either say it's a yes, no answer. So we can say if they have this tag, put them down this route. If they don't have it, put them down this route. So that's a yes, no scenario. The other one, which is called a split path, that gives you multiple permutations or multiple choices of which route someone could do. So I guess a simple example would be if you ask them, what social platform are you most active on? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok? Let's say you could have 4 different routes inside your automation, depending on which one they said they're most active on, that you could then start to send them emails that are relevant to that particular thing. Let's use a yes no one just to keep it simple. Let's say Instagram. I'm going to go down there. It says has the Instagram tag. If they have the tag, we could add them in and send them an email sequence. Let's say it was that one, and then if they don't have the tag, we could add an email sequence, but we could add a different one. We might just say, okay, just a general welcome sequence in there. So we've got the flexibility to send subscribers down different paths depending on how their profile looks, what tags they have, etc. Other things we can do in conditions is based on the custom field value. So we could say, back to the earlier example, if this subscriber has the custom field value of they're a startup, then send them down this path where it's all information about being a startup. Or the other path might be they're an established business and they're looking to scale or grow, then we can send them down that path. So we've got the flexibility to be able to do that. Get into advanced filters. So what we can do here is we can say if the subscribers match the following criteria. So we can then start to say things like, we're going to add a filter in if the subscriber has the following tag of, I can't remember the one I added, I think it was Instagram or something. Let's see if they have the Instagram tag. Then add a condition. Okay, so they match the advanced filter. Again, put them down the yes path if they do match that filter, and if they don't, we send them down the no path. And then the final one here is email open. So if we can, so an example here that I use in my business, as many do, is that we can detect if an email subscriber has opened an email in the last number of days. So let's say you want to check if they've opened an email in the last 90 days, add a condition. So based on that, if they have opened an email, you might want to put them down one route, but if they haven't, you might want to send them down an email re-engagement campaign to try and get them on the opening your emails again. So let's say, I'm not sure if I've got a re-engagement one in here, but let's imagine I did. Let's see. Yeah, there's one there, re-engagement sequence. So I'll add that in. So if they've not opened an email in a certain amount of time, in this case 90 days, we send them down here and we put them through a re-engagement sequence. And then after that, so we can create this mini flow inside this automation. If we can say then, put another condition in, and we can say if they've opened an email in the past, let's say 10 days, because now we've got them in this mini flow, we've sent them perhaps 2 or 3 emails to try and re-engage them, and then we check, we wait 10 days and we check again, have they opened up an email? Yes, we can take them down that route. If they haven't, then we can put in there and this button here, unsubscribe. So now when we get down to the bottom, we can say, so we'll give them 2 chances here. Have they opened up an email in the last 90 days? The answer is no. Okay, let's put them into a re-engagement sequence. And then we check again after 10 days if they still not opened an email. And if the answer is yes, we can continue and we can send them more emails. However, if they say no, then we've got the option just to unsubscribe them. And keeping your email subscriber list clean and clear of unengaged cold subscribers is, it's a necessary task that you need to keep on top of if you want to have good deliverability in your email marketing system. So that's a whole range of different things you can do inside an automation. Hopefully you can see the power and the flexibility that automations bring to your email marketing system. It's really only limited by your imagination, your creativity, what it is you want to do. One tip that I would give you, when you're going to create a visual automation, it's best to map out what it is you want to achieve, like on a bit of paper with a pen or on a whiteboard, or even on a tool like Whimsical or something online, where you can map it out to see how it looks, and then once you're happy with it, it becomes a simple task just to create it inside Kit, rather than trying to design it in Kit, because you might get yourself tied up in a bit of confusion if you're just trying to do it directly into the visual automation builder. So that's the way I do it, and that's the way I would recommend you do it too. Now, all that said, Most people's visual automations are very simple. I'm going to come out of this one and I'm going to create another one just to show you what a typical automation looks like. In fact, I'll show you one of the templates that are already created in here. So I'm going to use this one for, let's say, running a paid newsletter. So I'll click on use this template, and then Kit will load it into the editor so that I can then start to edit it and make it work for my business. So you can see here, this is a much more simple looking automation than the one I've just created. And this is as complex as most automations get, because it serves a purpose for most people. So in this case, it's just coming in via this form, the newsletter form. And then we're drip feeding this sequence of emails. If I click on that, I can see the emails that are going out. It's probably one or two emails. Yeah, there's two emails here going out. One immediately and one a day later. And then we're checking here to see if someone's bought a product. If they have, then we bring them down to here. In this case, it's a paid newsletter, so that would be the trigger for that one. And then we would then drip feed them another email sequence. In this case, it would be one for the paid, as you can see up here, the paid newsletter people. So they're fairly simple. They're not complex things, but they are very, very powerful. So it means that when you create an automation, when you create an automation inside Kit, so that when people join your email list, you drip feed the appropriate emails, you take the right decisions based on logic. Do they have this tag? Do they have that one? Did they click on this? Did they click on that? And when you build that logic into your automation and just let it run, then the system takes care of everything for you. You don't need to worry about it. So it's like setting it up once and then it just runs. It runs forever. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how powerful and useful visual automations are, together with an example of one in action. So I encourage you to go and try creating your own visual automation inside Kit. Very simple to do, and you can't break anything, so just go try it and see how you get on. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Cheers.